Ooh. I want to welcome everybody to the September 15th Audit of Claims meeting. Thank you very much for coming. This evening we have Ed Zakarskas. Pardon me? Zakaris would like to talk to us about his sewer on Main Street. Thanks for coming. You can go right ahead.
Oh, I thought you guys had business to do.
We put you first.
You didn't have to do that.
That's okay. We're good with
Put me
that.
last.
We are good with that.
I know you guys have problems with sewer, and I don't want to come here to add to it, okay? I just wanted to relate some problems we had regarding wastewater in the past couple months. And mostly, I have some questions and looking for some guidance, okay? I'm going to read because I tend to get off into details. We don't have time for that. We're going to get out of here. Most of you don't know me. My name's Ed Zakaris, S-Z-E-K-E-R-E-S, and I represent my wife, Shirley. Okay, we pay taxes on 3 properties in town of Webb, camp on Twitchell Lake, cottage on Big Moose Road, that you know, Mike, and 2037 Main Street. That's on the corner of Adams and Main, right? 3027 is directly across from Space, Tom, right across. I'm your neighbor, smack across. On the north side, to my left, is the Candy Cottage. On the right across Adams is Ozzy's, the coffee shop, okay? We own 3027, and we have a permit to operate. My wife has a store called Shirley's, and the sign is up front of the house. And we have a permit to operate a gift shop, which we do during the summer, only on weekends, okay? Sort of a sidelight, in 1957, I was in that house because it was also the offices of the town police. And I was stopped for a speeding ticket going too fast past the school. So in 1957, I was in that house and to pay a ticket, and I wind up owning it, okay? Our house on 3027 is a summer residence. And our the Candy Cottage right next door is not a residence, it's a business, okay? With employees. And that's going to come up as important in what I have to say. I'm not here to complain about anything or ask anything from the board, but instead to make some suggestions regarding information management based on our recent unfortunate experiences with both a septic problem at the Eagle Bay Cottage and a few weeks later with a major sewer problem at 3027. Now, both of the problems is our responsibility, nothing to do with the responsibility of the town. So you don't have to keep reminding me, it's your responsibility, Ed, right up to building laterals and street laterals. I got that. Now, let me quickly go over this septic problem at Eagle Bay. We encountered a blockage. I immediately called JS out of Rome because they advertise in the paper for sewer, septic and sewer problems. And he said, I'll be right out. He said, do you happen to know where your septic tank is located? And I said, no. I'll try to find out. So I quickly ran down first to the assessor's office, and they said, no, we don't keep those kind of records. Go across the hall to code enforcement. Code enforcement is very organized. They pull a file on the address, go through all the papers. There's nothing on the septic tank. However, Steve said, here's the building permit. The building permit clearly states that the permit is required for the septic tank. Well, where's the permit? Was never filed. And I said, well, how did you clear the permit, building permit, without the septic tank being filed? And he said, well, Ed, 35 years ago, things were a lot more loosey-goosey, okay? Well, that's fine, but loosey-goosey had effect on me immediately because I didn't know where the septic tank. Bottom line was they came out and it took them a couple hours of wasted time going here, there. I had mistakenly thought maybe it went out one way and it didn't. Blah, blah, blah. They found it, fixed it. So now I know that I have 1,000-gallon fiberglass septic tank, and I know within inches of where it's located, okay? My question that I'm going to pose at the end is, what do I do with that information, okay? So everything's finished at Eagle Bay. Let me move on to the situation, much more serious problem at 3027 Main Street. That occurred about 2 weeks after the Eagle Bay incident. It is far more complicated and serious. Around 9:30 in the morning, Monday, August 4th, I was in Utica, sitting in the waiting room of my cardiologist in Utica, when I get a frantic call from Shirley, my wife, said, water is pouring into our basement, okay? And she didn't know what to do. She called Nancy. Nancy, you were great.
Thank you.
Satisfied her by saying that you'll get somebody from Public Works. And sure enough, they were there. I rushed back after my appointment and did meet with one of the employees of the Public Works who worked for Scott Gaffney. The water backup pouring in was a little puzzling because it's just the two of us, and there wasn't any heavy water usage. When I left on Sunday night for Utica, there was no problem in the basement. How did all of a sudden this problem pop up on Monday morning? And Shirley's over there feverishly mopping up water, carrying out pails, all right? I'm 88, she's 87. We didn't buy a house on 3027 to face those kinds of problems and hauling water out and dumping it in the backyard, and took her all day. When I got there, I finally got a wet vac to suck up the water, at which time I could measure the amount of gallons going out that I was taking out, like 4 gallons every 15 minutes. That added up to over 12 gallons a minute that was coming out that I was sucking up. We stopped using the place. Where the hell is the water coming from, was the question, okay? That was a big mystery. All right, so I immediately, of course, called JS Septic and Sewer because we had just used them a couple weeks before that, and they said they would be right out first thing on Tuesday. So when I met with I think it was Alex from Public Works. I said, Alex, where's the maps showing where our sewers are connected to the town main? Because at that time, I was under the belief that my sewer system emptied into the main on Adams Street. There's a main running down Adams on the far side, which would be the south side of Adams. I was led to believe that because J.R. Risley had done some plumbing for us a couple of years ago, several years ago. And he is the grandson of Grace Risley that owned 3027. And he thought, and that's where I got the idea, that my sewer, which was originally 3027, originally was septic tank, and then it was changed to hooked up to town, and I thought it was across to Adams. When JS, the sewer people from Rome came out, they immediately tried to fix the leak of the elbow in the basement, but it was also pouring out around the stones of the back wall. So it was more complicated than just fixing one particular pipe. I'm still worried of where is the water coming from, okay? So eventually, after he was able to put in an elbow, he now had access so he could put his big snake down in there, and he could get out to 112 feet, and that sort of matched where I thought it was on Adams, where the connection was. Well, on Tuesday, Scott brought me evidence that said, Ed, your sewer can't possibly be hooked up to Adams, the main on Adams, because we worked on that 5 years ago in 2020, and we took pictures. We don't have maps. We don't have maps of where connections are made, but I happen to have pictures of the work we did in 2020. And look, there's no evidence that a hookup from your side was made, or that even existed. Okay, so then we started to think, with his help, where could this possibly go? The snake kept indicating the possibility of going toward Adams, which in the long run was a false lead, okay? We, in the meantime, stopped occupying the house, shut off the water. We moved over to Eagle Bay, okay? At this point, I got to give recognition, positive recognition to Scott Gaffney. That should be on the records because he was exceptional in his help over the week, working with JS to resolve a problem, okay? So, I'm just going to jump to the solution without going through all the days and the harrowing experiences and what was going on until Thursday afternoon when everything got resolved, okay? On Thursday afternoon, we find out the following information. Our building lateral, we finally located, and it's a 4-inch diameter PVC, okay, heading eastward toward Route 28, parallel to the property line between the Candy Cottage and our property, okay? So that negated my previous belief of being hooked to Adams, okay? So specifically what we learned by Thursday afternoon is that my sewer line goes out as cast iron pipe, which were the original pipe, for 25 feet makes a 90-degree and another 90-degree with PVC and heads directly back 180 degrees. The other way is I'm going out west, and now I'm coming east to head right to 28, okay? And bingo, simultaneously, it was determined that the lead end of the snake that JS had in the line was blocked by a grounding rod that the state had put in last year, okay,
For the sign.
when they were building the sign, crossing sign, okay, that now is in front of the Candy Cottage. The state had taken a 5x10 parcel from the Candy Cottage by eminent domain, okay, for the building of this school sign. Because it was electrified, it had to have a ground. A 10-foot long, it turned out to be after it was discovered, a 10-foot long grounding post actually pierced the sewer line, okay? And that was the cause of the blockage, okay? I was aware of the 5x10 plot because in late 2024, I received from the state of New York a plot because our property borders that particular plot, so I was aware of it. But until the snake hit that, it was making a noise, and when you listened by the grounding post, it was obvious that that's where everything was happening, and that was exactly the 112 feet the snake won't go beyond. It immediately became a state problem. The state, JS said, our job's finished. We can't touch anything that's on state land. State was notified, and in all compliments, the state acted very, very quickly. So by Monday, they had hired BJ Queen to dig down to see what exactly was happening. In the meantime, I failed to mention that JS had discovered the exact location of the PVC pipe. When, then it became obvious that our property sewer lateral and the cottage lateral is hooked together at a Y. So now, when BJ Queen dug down, they only found one street lateral. It's a clay pipe going across 28, okay? My responsibility, or now it's shared responsibility
Right.
with Candy Cottage, okay? Got it. But I was lucky because it was state property,
Right.
okay? So I paid the $4,000 to JS for, all I did was find out where things were. The state took care of it, okay?
They took care of that bill,
Yeah, they took care of it.
the 4,000.
I happened to know what it was, and it was more than the 4,000 that I had to pay JS to find out where my line runs.
Well, no, sir, that was my question. Did they pay? The state didn't pay JS for the research.
No,
You had done the work.
JS had nothing. No, I had to pay JS.
You paid
That's
JS.
my responsibility. Laterals are my responsibility, clearly stated in the law
Yeah.
that Nancy provided me. Okay, it's absolutely clear.
I was just curious.
5-6 times it says, you know. The shocker was the fact that we're connected to Candy Cottage. So the water, every time Candy Cottage flushed their toilet, I was getting water into my basement,
Right.
okay? When they did the dishwashing, it was into my basement, okay? Because the line was full, and Scott, when he put his camera through, said, yeah, you got standing water in this pipe, just a few feet down from your exit, okay? And that answered the question of why we were continually getting water when we had the place shut down. Where's the water coming from? Is this leftover from last week? You know, what's going on? But now it all became clear on Thursday afternoon. Okay, so the source of the backflow was the Candy Cottage. And the reason why we were suffering and not the Candy Cottage was we're 2 foot lower than the Candy Cottage.
Okay.
So their laterals are like this. If there's a blockage in the common, okay, I feel it, okay?
Yep.
Okay. I got through that. The Department of Transportation, they were responsible, they took care of everything. All right, this is a summary. I got a lot of information that I didn't have before. I had no idea it was connected to Candy Cottage, okay? I had no idea that I go across 28, okay? I had no idea about this. Now I have all this information. What do I do with it? All right, what do I do with this information? Because if I had this kind of information, I wouldn't have had to spend $4,000 to get that information, okay? So, you know, I read what's in the laws that you are responsible for 100% for building lateral and street lateral. Wow, okay. Now, I find my street lateral, which I'm responsible for, goes across 28, all right? That's a pretty big deal, all right? The second bit of information that is provided by BJ Queen is they took videos because the state had paid them to clean everything out. That said, do everything, clean it out, run a camera, everything. Potential problem with the street lateral, which probably you guys are aware of. At the far end, which is the main, by the way, the town main runs right in front of your place, okay? Not in front of my place. So I gotta go across 28, you don't have to, okay? So then I start to worry, okay, I have this information, what do I do with it? What effect does that have on my property value? Let's say I'm going to go sell, and when I bought, I was stupid. I didn't ask the question, where does the sewer go, all right? Now, if I buy a place, I know, all right? Now, if I'm trying to sell, and they hire a building inspector who's worth his salt, he comes and starts interviewing me. Where does the sewer go? Well, it goes across Main Street. Well, I happen to know that BJ Queen said there could be a little problem about halfway across. And there is certainly a problem on the east side of the street lateral because it's full of grease. Okay, as you have already known, grease is coming down the main from all the restaurants, okay? All right? All right, so what do I do with the information is one question. How do I approach my neighbor without getting him all worked up about, hey, you're gonna have to, you got like 9 women employees during the summer. What rules and regulations do you have in the use of your toilets or your dishwasher or whatever or any other drainage that you have. How do I bring that up? Because now he affects me. All right? He affects me. And I'm not quite sure, I haven't approached yet other than he's aware that we got a common. But I'm more worried than he seems to be. Because I feel the effect, being the low guy in it, the minute it backs up on the main, and knowing there's a potential problem. So if I'm selling the place, do I report this? I went over to talk to a real estate agent. Not that I'm interested in selling right now. But she says, well, your best bet is if they don't ask, don't tell. Well, come on now, you know, that leaves us a little prod. All right, so the bottom line is that a PVC began to be used in 1970, from then on. Your laws here state that if I'm gonna mess with a sewer line, lateral, I gotta report that, I get permission from the town, and it has to be approved by the town, okay? Well, then the question is, well, if a PVC was started to be used in 70, the obvious PVC pipe that was put in had to come after 70s. Where in the town records is anything with regard to the owner at the time ever going to get permission, and is there any record? There's none. It's zero, okay? So, we can't invent data when it doesn't exist, all right? But my only point, and I'll leave it there, is that I think that you guys have to consider putting maybe more responsibility on the property owner and say, Ed, you should, or no, you must report what you have, take it to code enforcement maybe, or some other system, I don't know, but, okay, I can do that easily, but I don't know if that's gonna help the others down the street, all on the west side of Main Street, but by golly, someone else is gonna have the same kind of problem I do. So that's all my point was. I just wonder if we can't somehow improve information technology for the future. Because I'm dead 2 years from now. I don't know what's gonna happen to the information if I don't get it recorded somehow. But just me going down, and I'm sure Steve Baker says, I'd love to have the information. Yeah, fine, Steve, that's fine. That takes care of me. That doesn't really solve the system problem. There's some weakness in the system. So I'm sure that right now, under code enforcement, they do a damn good job. They came out when I had a permit for building, they came out before they cleared the permit to see what I did, okay? And there's records. You can go in there and you can find the record. I had a building permit, it was examined, blah, 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 such and such date. That's all been recorded. So modern times, yeah. What do we do about the past? If somehow word got out that people should be turning in information to the town if they have information on where their laterals are located, okay? The fact that I go to the town and say, where is my lateral at 3027? Where is it tied to the street lateral? And they couldn't answer that question. To me, that's not a sign of an advanced community. Okay, that's it. You don't have to.
Oh, really?
I understand,
That was great information, man.
I just want you to know, Ed, that we have been looking at putting on both sides of the road, so you don't have to go across Main Street. Right now, we're trying to fix the 6 areas that are collapsed underground.
Well, I guess you guys have a lot of problems.
So, but we have looked into the 2 laterals on both sides of Main Street as well.
But again, Bonnie, that
Probably
doesn't
won't happen in
answer
our
my
time.
question about what do I do with the information? You know,
Yeah.
and how do I pressure my neighbor without getting him all upset?
I don't know about that one.
All right,
I do know that if you take your information to zoning, it will help.
yeah.
I know when the hardware found their laterals, the same thing, they didn't know where the laterals were.
Well, in
And they did go to
reading,
zoning and do that.
your law number 3 is dated 1982. Well, as a guy who used to be in specifications for a steel company, I would say your law number 3 is badly in need of a rewrite, an update, okay? But maybe in that rewrite should be the responsibility of the property owner to report information, and it's the responsibility of the town to record the information. I don't know what
Yep.
department that would be.
I'm
if
sure
it's
that
code
Scott probably did record all of what was going on because he's very good about any of these laterals that have had issues, because this isn't the first one. So
That's-
he does take pictures
It
and
would be nice to have
quite a map
mapping.
they have.
But that
Mapping
is
of
not,
everything.
Mike, that's not recorded information. In other words, it's on, he brought me his cell phone with the pictures on it.
Right.
That's fine, but you gotta be more formal than that. That information should be somehow, I don't know,
Documented.
recorded or put in, you know.
I've seen some paperwork down there that they do have a lot of information on where all these things are. Obviously, they don't have them all.
No, and
It's obvious.
you know, and I'm
But there is a
saying-
big, huge thing that has a lot of sewer stuff in it.
Yeah.
I can tell
But
you that.
the first comment was, it's not our responsibility yet, it's your responsibility. I'm saying, fine, I understand that from Law 3, that's my responsibility, clearly stated in Amendment 1 or whatever it is. But that doesn't tell me what to do with the information, and how it gets formalized is what I'm asking, Mike. Just because Scott knows everything, that's fine while Scott's around, okay? And 20 years from now, is the new owner going to face this problem? Unless it's recorded.
Right.
Now it's a little bit easier because Scott did insist, and to his credit, that an access point be put in. So there, when you walk the sidewalk, across the street town from me, you'll see an access. And likewise, Lori at Madsen House, she also has an access, but she didn't know that her street lateral goes across 28. No, because when I stopped to talk to her about, she said, yeah, we had a blockage problem, we had it fixed. I bet she hasn't recorded that, okay? That could be useful for her
Very.
property records.
I'm surprised that, I am surprised that you thought that it went over towards the other street and not straight out, because all those on Main Street, far as I know, do go out to Main Street on the other side from your side, and,
Yeah.
I mean, just because of experience of seeing some of
And
those.
again, I got that from J.R. Risley, and that's where, because I didn't know, and it made sense to me because I'm closer. Now, in that point, I said, what do I do with the future? Now I'm living under this haunt of the candy cottage.
I know, that's a tough one.
And Scott says, well, if you would put in a line, okay, which will be law, it's actually just about the same distance, the 112 foot. He said if you cut a line across, it'll be easier to go across Adams than it would be to go across Main Street, obviously, okay? So he said in the future, you know, and I said, well, maybe when the town decides to repair Adams Street, which is in need of repair, maybe that would be the time that I would then hire somebody to dig a pipe.
Which would
That's
be a
not gonna be easy
major
either, 'cause I have
expense.
to go underneath the sidewalk.
Oh, gosh, yes. I can tell you, one of the solutions, and this is just to save you from having a huge issue in your basement again. This happened to a couple other basements, and there is a device, I don't know what it is, it's just kind of like a check valve.
It is a check
So
valve.
it can't dump into your basement.
Yes.
Doesn't solve any issues what you're talking about, but it certainly makes it so you don't have such a mess in your basement.
Yeah.
Because that could have been really nasty.
That was brought up, but there are some disadvantages of this check valve in running the snake.
Oh, okay, sure.
So they said there's advantages and disadvantages
Okay.
of the check valve. And I looked into that, Mike, and because that was a suggestion that they said, put in a check valve. And then all that does is dump the problem onto the candy cotton.
Well, yeah,
All
like,
right, because eventually he will feel.
Sure.
Right?
yeah.
It's just that I feel it first.
My first thing is I feel bad for the people that end up with, sometimes it's not just water, it's other stuff coming in their basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
It's
wanna
horrible,
get-
it really is horrible.
I didn't want to get into the details of what was found by the end of the snake, okay?
Yeah, getting all that information over is great. I will say that the health department, like from a restaurant standpoint and from a rental standpoint, they have a policy where if you don't share or update, either if you're doing work on your system planned or if you're doing work to repair your system, they might not let you do the work if you're not providing information to them, or if you do it without them knowing and it comes out that happened, you're susceptible to some fines.
And
I'm not
this
s- this
is in which department?
This is from a different experience mode, like from a health department standpoint, from restaurants or rentals. So like if there were the town to put something in like that, there there is a policy. I mean, I know we don't have it now, but there is something that could be done. I think if you are withholding information on that pertains to the rest of the community using it in particular, or if it's going to be an issue like septic and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's great that your whole focus coming here was to share this information and to see what happens moving forward, and necessarily worry about the money that you paid that you had nothing to do with.
Worrying about future tenants or
Yeah.
future
That
residents.
state caused the freaking. So
You're the
Thank
ones
you
who
for
have to
that.
figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm just asking you to tell me.
I
Yeah.
know.
well, for in your case, bring that information to the codes. Right?
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Figure that.
And then we'll hope that everybody
That'll help
else.
your next,
And that's
your
easy
next
to
owner.
do.
The kindness and honesty you're showing right now, man, I hope everybody else will do that and bring their stuff to codes. But like your real estate agent said, that's not how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, actually, the one other thing, Tom, that the real estate person said was, there's a lot, her clients, she says, have an awful lot of information on their stores that they haven't provided to the
Yeah.
town.
Yep.
So if word got around that, hey, property owners, you're, in addition to being responsible, you have a responsibility of reporting what you find or what information you may develop.
Yeah.
So I should be under some pressure to, not saying, it'd be good if you brought it in, Ed. No, it should, they say, Ed, you should bring it in.
This goes in some other stuff too. It's like with the dock issue up in Fourth Lake. A lot of that issue we had in a different instance now is because real estate agents are like, oh yeah, you got lake rights. Go get them, champ. Well, you don't really have lake rights. This is kind of the same stuff where we can't expect real estate agents to be the ones to say report your stuff, I guess.
No, they don't want it. That's
Yeah.
what her point was, is don't ask.
This is something to think about. in the
If they
short
don't
term.
ask, don't tell them.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
somehow leaves me
that's the way it is.
with a bad taste.
Well, as far as the Eagle Bay thing, it's a good thing that you found that, because if it's been that long, you probably needed to pump it out.
They did pump it, they did pump it.
Because I have something,
But that
I'm
wasn't,
not on
but
town,
that
so I
wasn't
have,
the problem. The problem was that the PVC coming out of the house, first of all, it's a slab. So I didn't know, Mike, where
oh, sure.
because it's on a slab. So encased in the slab is the sewer line,
Yeah, no
or the
kidding.
pipe. And when it connected, when it left the house, it entered what would now not be allowed by code because it was too thin wall of a PVC.
Sure.
The old PVCs with the
Thin wall, yeah.
thin wall for drainage purposes only.
Mm-hmm.
He said that was crushed and roots had gotten in. He said that was not even a closed pipe,
Right, sure. Yeah.
and, but there was no permit filed, okay, and, yeah, like Steve said, it was loosey-goosey in 89?
Well,
Thank you, Ed.
Thank
That
you very
didn't help
much.
me any,
no, that didn't.
Well done. Something to think about.
but thank you for your attention and
No,
your
thanks.
consideration, because,
Thank you.
Ed's got 2 shows this week. Ed'll be presenting at the Old Forge Library Thursday on steel and how it's made at 5 p.m. If anybody would like an encore,
Look at it.
we'll say.
I'm not gonna discuss sewers.
That's awesome.
Thursday?
Yep.
Thursday at 5 p.m.
Good reporting.
Want to hand out the budgets?
Yep, on to the next
Okay,
one.
is that unfinished then?
Yeah, thank you, Ed,
Hey,
so
thank you
much.
for your
Thanks, Ed.
We
attention.
appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thanks, Ed.
Sometimes we
Thanks
need
for
a
the
little
info.
luck.
Thank you, Ed. Okay, here's your budget,
I'll
guys.
see you.
Yeah, see you.
So, top one's the budget.
Boy,
The other clips are the meetings that we're gonna have. Here's your calendar of events. And then I did attach the ambulance contract, because they are coming on the 8th, if you look at your calendar. I'm handing out
His last
now.
budget.
Da-da-da-da! Don't screw up the order, or you'll be all confused when
My
you
fourth
come.
one now. I'm counting his budget time here. Keep in one order.
That's it. First budget meeting's on the 8th at 8 o'clock.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you.
The only thing I have this evening is an update. Finally have gotten through the paperwork for the EPA grant for $1 million. Submitted, and we should be, it's been accepted and approved, so we should get that money relatively soon. This will pay off our short-term loan that we have on our wastewater treatment plant UV updates.
geez, isn't that something?
So that was, it's amazing how
Painful.
long it takes.
Painful.
So that was applied for in 2022, right?
Oh, a long time
Yes,
ago.
2022.
2022.
2022, we started applying for it.
Started the paperwork.
Yep, 23, we got awarded, and we're just getting the money.
Wait.
So it's, but
Thank you.
I understand why people
Don't go for these.
don't go for grants, I get it. And why they want a grant writer, because man, just filling out, we have a grant writer, just filling out the paperwork to get the money. To do a pull is crazy.
Yeah.
I think that was all I had. That was a lot of info from Ed.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
The way you delivered the story too.
So we actually, we had to do what we had to do, but we ended up losing a lot of interest on all that time. We had to pay our loan back.
Some of the short term is interest free, very small part of it.
Oh.
So it was a good,
So-
it's not like going to the bank and getting interest, you guys got a better deal.
Yeah, we got a better-
Yeah, that's right, too. I do remember some of those were pretty low interest.
So don't think of it as the common person going to the bank.
All right.
But yes, you are correct, we could have had it a little earlier, but that's okay. You have it, that's all that matters.
We had to do it, had to get it done.
Too bad.
I just have one question. The KLW thing here,
Mm-hmm.
that's 64. Is that for the data collecting to help them get on board with that? Or
No,
just
that's their
something
next payment.
else? That's just the payment. Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
And I asked for a quote on that. But we paid them in the past to do that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't always have a data collector, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, but when we do a reval, KLW is always supplied the staff.
Supplied with staff and that.
Tina was trying to do it without them, you just need the staff, you need them.
Yeah. Yeah. You need
And they did a lot. Dana went a lot of places, I know
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Part of the deal.
Are you guys done with the bills?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Looks like it.
Thank you very much for coming. Linda, thank you.
Old Faithful.
I know.